back with Paul Donato, who's the Chief Research Officer at the Nielsen Company. Just gave the plenary, or part of the plenary address here at the APOR conference. You clearly talked about a lot more than we'll have time to cover here. But you made a point about how surveys are about asking, and I think if I'm paraphrasing right, your advice would be to think more about those who listen and who watch, and to try and incorporate some of what they do into what survey researchers do. Could you expand on that a little?
I think very specifically I said that survey research is really about asking people information, asking questions. And my recommendation is not that survey researchers learn the science of listening or the science of watching, which are two different kind of methods for collecting data, but that they partner with people who do listening and partner with people who do watching. Now, what's listening? Listening is going to the cybersphere, looking at buzz, looking at what people are saying in chat rooms, blogs. Is the sentiment positive? Is it negative? How much is it? And watching is observational. It's sort of modern ethnography, but ethnography that uses computers or cameras to collect information about people. And again, survey research is survey research. Survey researchers, I'm not saying do ethnography, but I'm saying there's so much data out there, and survey research can attack certain things, people's feelings, their opinions, their attitudes, but to supplement that with these other massive, sometimes digital, sometimes collected by observation databases.
Now, Ken Pruitt, professor at Columbia, who also shared the stage with you tonight, who we may not be able to interview, raised the issue of representativeness, that surveys aim to be to provide representative data that with the various observational buzz data. That's difficult. What's your
Ken is coming from the perspective of representation of all populations in the government domain. So it's a census's job to make sure that all persons are counted, because monies are apportioned on the basis of those numbers. We feel much the same way about many of our panels. Television, certainly, we feel exactly the same way. All of our panels should be as representative as we can make them. We talked a lot tonight about online surveys and how representative they were. And I think it's a well-known fact that the response rates to online surveys are low single digits. I think the way to address those, I mean, why do people do online surveys? They're fast, they're inexpensive. You can present a variety of stimuli, color, graphics. But before someone uses those results to some decision of importance, they really need to understand what biases are in the survey and how they would affect those results.
Okay, let me ask about that. And I think you mentioned at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Nielsen Company purchases or pays for, conducts 3 million online
surveys locally in the United States, and then 10 million internationally.
So you're probably the leading consumer of online data, or at least one of them. One of a small number.
One of them.
What advice would you have to the rest of us, to ordinary consumers of data, about how to make sense of that, how to evaluate the quality of an online survey?
I think what's happening now is that a number of the major organizations like APOR, like the Advertising Research Foundation, have launched data quality councils, and so they're actually conducting primary research on the natures of the biases within online research. I can tell you what we do for our net ratings panel. That's a panel that basically measures audience to internet sites. And what we do is we have a much higher quality probability sample that we measure, and that becomes then a kind of a calibration sample to which we adjust the sample that has been recruited online. And having a benchmark, having some mechanism, a high-quality 1,000 household panel that's been recruited through much more expensive sampling techniques, have that there so you can compare your online recruitment with that benchmark sample.
If a journalist or anyone else sees an online political survey, what questions should they be asking about it? What should we want to know about how that data was collected?
Well, I
it's
think
not the kind of survey you all do, so that may not be a fair
that's a good question. But we have done work on the differences, as many people have, the differences between RDD and online. And we know it's less important in the consumer sphere. We know it's more important in the media sphere. I bet you, because consumer, especially packaged goods, they're not really related so much to political. I mean, you know, a can of beans is a can of beans. Whereas once you get to things like media choices or political opinion, they are related to your propensity to use the internet. So I think it's not accepting this one online poll and saying what's unique about this poll. I think you already have to have a theoretical understanding of the political disparities that exist between people who do online surveys and people who don't.
Okay.
Some of that it's kind of easy to get. It's demographics. It tends to be people with more time to be able to do it.
Right.
And you know, some of it is other factors, but it's not one survey you're trying to learn about. It's the whole online polling process. You need to have
fair
a
enough,
theoretical
and that's what we're
perspective.
trying to do a little bit of this week.
Yeah.
Paul Donato, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good day.